Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to make your blood absolutely boil. WWE just crossed a line that should never have been crossed. They took the most dominant force in professional wrestling history, the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, and had him brutalized, humiliated, and left in a condition so severe that doctors were legitimately concerned about paralysis. Not a storyline injury. Not a kayfabe beatdown. We're talking about a beating so vicious that Brock Lesnar, the man who made The Undertaker tap out, the man who ended the streak, the conqueror of WWE, was millimeters away from never walking again. And who did WWE sacrifice him to? Tyrese Levesque, Vision and Bron Breakker. Two guys who haven't earned half of what Lesnar has accomplished, being handed the keys to the kingdom on a silver platter while destroying the legacy of a living legend. This isn't just bad booking. This is disrespectful. This is dangerous. And somebody at WWE headquarters needs to be held accountable for what happened. But before we dive into this absolute trainwreck of a decision, if you're as furious about this as I am, you need to smash that subscribe button right now. Hit that notification bell, because Ring Rumble 1 is the only channel that's going to tell you the truth about what's really happening in WWE without the corporate filter. We don't sugarcoat. We don't play nice. We tell it like it is. So subscribe, turn on all notifications, and let's get into why this attack on Brock Lesnar represents everything that's wrong with modern wrestling. Now let's set the stage here. Brock Lesnar has been the name in professional wrestling for over 2 decades. UFC heavyweight champion. NCAA Division I heavyweight champion. The youngest WWE champion in history at the time. The man who conquered The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. When you think about legitimate beasts in this industry, there's Lesnar, and then there's everyone else fighting for second place. This man has carried WWE on his back through multiple eras, drawn millions of dollars, and put his body through absolute hell to entertain us. And how does WWE repay that legacy? By feeding him to 2 guys in what can only be described as a glorified handicap match designed to make Vision and Bron Breakker look strong at the expense of everything Lesnar has built. Now, I'm not saying these guys don't have potential. Bron Breakker has the lineage, son of Rick Steiner, nephew of Scott Steiner, and he's got the look. Vision, whoever the hell thought that name was a good idea, has some athleticism. But potential doesn't mean you get to end a legend's career in the most reckless way possible. Here's what went down, and I want you to pay close attention because this is where it gets infuriating. The segment started innocently enough. Lesnar comes out to address the crowd, probably expecting a standard promo situation. But Triple H's new WWE doesn't do standard anymore, they do shock value at the expense of common sense. Out come Vision and Bron Breakker, and the attack begins. Now, in wrestling, we understand that beatdowns happen. Stone Cold got run over by a car. The Rock got beat down by Evolution. It's part of the storytelling. But there's a difference between a beatdown that tells a story and a beatdown that feels like it's designed to injure someone. And what happened to Lesnar falls into that second category. These two start working over Lesnar with a fury that honestly looked shoot uncomfortable. Multiple German suplexes on the exposed concrete, not the ring, the concrete. Breakker hit that Steiner bulldog onto the steel steps, and you could see Lesnar's neck compress in a way that made everyone in the arena go silent. Then Vision, trying to prove he belongs in the same conversation as a legend, hits a diving elbow from the top rope onto Lesnar, who's laid out on the announce table. The table doesn't break. Lesnar absorbs the full impact. Doctors performed emergency scans of his cervical spine. The initial fears were that he had suffered a severe spinal injury that could have resulted in permanent paralysis from the neck down. Let that sink in. Paralysis. Brock Lesnar, one of the toughest human beings on the planet, was nearly paralyzed because WWE decided that making 2 unproven guys look strong was more important than the safety of their most valuable asset. Now, Wi's corporate PR machine immediately went into damage control mode. They released a statement saying the injuries were precautionary concerns, and that Lesnar was in good spirits. Good spirits. The man was nearly paralyzed, and you're telling me he's in good spirits. This is the same company that's been sued multiple times for inadequate medical care, the same company that's had wrestlers die prematurely because of the toll this industry takes, and they're still playing the PR game instead of taking accountability. But here's what really makes me angry, and I want you to sound off in the comments if you agree with me on this. WWE has spent the last few years talking about safer wrestling. They banned chair shots to the head. They implemented concussion protocols. They've made a big show about caring for their performers' long-term health. And yet, they book a segment where a 47-year-old wrestler, no matter how physically gifted, takes multiple high-impact moves designed to target the head and neck from two guys who are still learning how to work safely at the main roster level. Bron Breakker, for all his potential, has been in WWE's system for 3 years. He's had matches where his timing was off, where he's been stiff with opponents, where you could see he's still developing. And Ty Vision is even greener. These aren't seasoned veterans who know how to protect their opponents. These are guys who are being pushed to the moon before they've learned the fundamentals of working safe. And before you come at me in the comments saying, it's all a work, or, Lesnar agreed to it, even if Lesnar signed off on every spot, that doesn't make it right. Wrestlers have a history of saying yes to things that are dangerous because they're trying to give the audience a show, trying to prove they're tough, or trying to keep their spot. It's WWE's responsibility, Triple H's responsibility, Nick Khan's responsibility, to say no when something is too dangerous. That's what a responsible company does. They protect their talent from themselves. Instead, WWE greenlit a segment that nearly ended with one of the biggest stars in the history of the business being paralyzed. For what? To get two guys over. There are 100 different ways to build new stars without putting a legend's life at risk. You can have them win clean matches. You can have them cut promos that establish their characters. You can have them overcome adversity in compelling storylines. You don't need to nearly cripple Brock Lesnar to make Vision and Bron Breakker look credible. And let's talk about the message this sends. What does it say to the locker room when WWE is willing to sacrifice the health of their most accomplished performer for the sake of shock value? It tells everyone that nobody is safe, don't want to jeopardize their own careers. But this isn't about politics or access, this is about a man who nearly lost the ability to walk. What makes this even more frustrating is that Lesnar doesn't need this kind of storyline. His legacy is secure. He's already a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's already made his money. If this is truly the end for Brock Lesnar, and there are legitimate questions about whether he'll ever be cleared to compete again, then his final memory in a WWE ring shouldn't be getting recklessly injured in a segment designed to get two developmental talents over. As for Vision and Bron Breakker, this isn't their fault entirely, but they're going to have this hanging over their careers forever. Every time someone mentions their names, the response will be, oh yeah, those are the guys who nearly paralyzed Brock Lesnar. That's not the kind of heat that draws money. That's go-away heat. That's change the channel heat. WWE has potentially ruined these guys' careers before they even really got started by putting them in a position where they're associated with one of the most dangerous and irresponsible segments in modern wrestling history. The bottom line is this. WWE made a choice. They chose shock value over safety. They chose short-term storytelling over long-term consequences. They chose to put two unproven performers over at the expense of a legend's health and well-being. And unless there are serious consequences for the people who made this decision, it's going to happen again. Maybe not to Lesnar, but to someone else. Because WWE has shown they're willing to cross lines that should never be crossed. So I'm asking you, demanding you, to make your voice heard. Comment below and tell me if you think WWE went too far. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know because this story needs to be told. Hit that like button if you're as angry about this as I am. And most importantly, hold WWE accountable. Don't let them sweep this under the rug with corporate PR statements and scripted apologies. A man nearly lost everything, and somebody needs to answer for it. This is Ring Rumble 1, and we're not going to stop talking about this until WWE does the right thing.